Jason Chandler sat on the couch and stared at his phone. It wasn't long before he received a disturbing call from Karen, his wife of almost 10 years. Earlier that day, the private investigator had informed him that she and her lover had just boarded a flight to Honolulu. He knew they were planning to spend a week there, though that was not what she had told him. It was the latest in a string of lies and bad decisions on her part. He wondered how he could have been so stupid and blind. For almost 10 years he'd given everything he had to build a life with Karen, but now it was all gone. He took another sip of coffee and leaned back in his chair, closing his eyes. He reflected on the last decade. He had met Karen in college 13 years ago. They were both working on business degrees and were in the same study group. This led to them starting to date. They eventually fell in love and married after graduating from college. He went to work for his father, who owned a chain of successful tire stores throughout the state. He always worked for his father, spending summers at one of the many stores his father owned. Sometimes he worked in the store replacing tires and brakes. Sometimes he moonlighted as a delivery man, delivering tires and parts to local stores. As a result, he learned a lot about the business. After graduating from college, his father talked him into working for him at company headquarters in the accounting department. Over the years, Jason had proven himself capable of handling any task and was now the head of the accounting department, working directly for Mike Allen, the CFO, who would be retiring in a couple of years. Jason knew that his father's dream was to turn the company over to him when he retired and knew that when Mike retired, he would get a promotion and take his place. Karen, meanwhile, got a job as a realtor. After they were married, she went to school and got her license to sell real estate. She was damn good at what she did and made good money, even in the worst years when things weren't going well in the market. They had a good life, so he thought. They had saved and managed to buy a nice house in the suburbs. They each drove a nice new car, and from the looks of it, their marriage was secure. They had no children, and that bothered him more than it bothered her. Now he considered it a sort of blessing in disguise. In the beginning, Karen had said there was something wrong with her tubes, so she had them tied. He consoled her and suggested she consider adoption, but Karen rejected the idea. He eventually resigned himself to the fact that they would never have children. But several things had happened over the past year that made him think that something was going on. Something that would change his relationship with Karen forever. For starters, Karen started spending more time with the girls than ever before. He never denied her free time because he knew how stressful her job was. But the fortnightly happy hours, which had only lasted until 7 in the evening, had become 2 or 3 times a week. And depending on the day of the week, she could get home no earlier than midnight or later. Jason wasn't happy about it and expressed his displeasure, but she brushed him off, saying that she was under a lot of stress at work and deserved time to blow off steam. "What are you doing up until midnight?" he asked her one night when she came home, her hair disheveled and her clothes smelling of cigarette smoke. "Oh, we just have a few drinks," she said. "Sometimes we dance if we're in the mood." "Look, Jace, this is none of your business. I'm a big girl, and I don't need you telling me what to do. So back off, okay?" Jason stared at her, shocked. She'd never spoken to him like that before. When she saw the look on his face, she softened. "I'm sorry, Jace," she said. "I didn't mean to snap at you. It's just that we're under pressure from the market." "You've been through tough times in the market before, and it didn't bother you," he said. "What's different this time?" "You have no idea how hard it can be sometimes," she says. "The competition is getting worse and worse, and the higher-ups are putting more and more pressure on us to sell real estate." "I understand that, dear," he told her. "But there's no need to take your anger out on me. I'm on your side, remember?" She smiled and hugged him. "You're right, dear," she said. "Please accept my apologies." "Okay, I agree," he said. "But please take a shower or something." "No offense, but you smell like an ashtray." "I'm sorry," she said. "There were a lot of people smoking in the club. I'm going to go take a shower." He lay down and was already asleep when she got to the bed. Over the next few months, other changes occurred. The frequency of their sex decreased dramatically. Before all this started, they were making love 3 or 4 times a week. Then that dropped to twice a week, and eventually, if he was lucky, to once a fortnight. Worse, her attitude toward him seemed to have changed. Before, she'd always asked about his work and been interested in his hobbies. Now she didn't seem to care what he had to say. And then there was the day he caught her in a blatant lie. One day, he decided to drop by her office to invite her to lunch. However, when he got there, he was told that she had left to show some real estate. In the evening, when Karen came home after what she had been doing with the girls, he asked her how her day had been. "I was in the office all day today," she said. "I had a lot of paperwork to catch up on, so I just grabbed a sandwich from the vending machine." Jason was shocked. She just lied to him with an honest face. As far as he knew, it was the first time she'd ever done that. He thought about pressing her, but decided against it. She'd probably explode in this state, and he was too tired to deal with it. He wondered how many more times she had lied to him. Later that night, as they lay in bed, he rolled over and looked at her. She saw the worry on his face. "What's wrong, Jace?" she asked. "I'm concerned," he said. "About what?" she asked. "We are," he said. "I feel like we're drifting apart. Do you still love me?" "Of course I know, sweetheart," she said, hugging him. "You know that, don't you?" "I honestly don't know," he said. "I can't remember the last time you told me that. And we haven't had sex in a long time. You seem to go out more often than you're home." "I'm sorry," she said. "It's just the pressure of the job. I really love you, please believe me. Can you start showing me more?" he asked. "Of course, baby," she said, kissing his face. They made love that night and Jason felt better, but he still had concerns. Things went back to normal for about a month, but then it happened again. What the hell is going on? He asked himself for the thousandth time. He began to realize what was going on the day his longtime friend Ron Green called him and asked if he could get away for a while. "Sure, I can meet you for a beer," Jason said. "What's going on?" "I really can't say over the phone," Ron said. "But it's important." "Okay," Jason said. "I'll meet you there at 530 if I can make it." They finished talking and Jason met Ron at the bar that evening. Jason wasn't too worried about being late, since Karen almost always left before 6 or 7 in the evening, and sometimes later. "Okay, buddy," Jason said, sipping his beer. "Spit it out. What's going on?" "Jace," Ron began. "I saw your wife today when I was out jogging." "Yeah?" asked Jason. "She sells real estate, probably goes around showing real estate." "I'm sure," Ron said, "but I never knew selling real estate involved kissing and holding hands." "What?" asked Jason. "Oh, come on. You're pulling my leg." "I wish I could, buddy," he said. "I was driving down Riverside Drive, and I saw your wife coming out of the house with some man. They were holding hands, and then they kissed. I'm not talking about pecking her on the cheek." He ran his hands over her ass at the same time. "That can't be right," Jason said. "Are you sure you're talking about my Karen?" Ron pulled out his cell phone and showed Jason a picture. Sure enough, it was Karen making out with a man who had his hands on her ass. "Damn it," Jason said quietly, handing the phone back. "Can you email me that picture?" "Sure," Ron said, pressing some buttons on his phone. "So, what are you going to do?" Jason shook his head. "I don't know, buddy," he said. "We've been going at it for a while now, but I never thought she'd do something like this." "A friend of mine is a private investigator," Ron said. "If you want, I can put you in touch with him." "Do it," Jason said. "I need to know what the hell is going on." They said goodbye and headed out the door. When he got home, Karen was in the kitchen. This was new, he thought to himself. "You're home early," he said, kissing her. I'm not complaining, by the way. She smiled and kissed him back. Where have you been? She asked. I was downstairs having a beer with Ron, he said. I didn't expect you back so early, so I figured what's up. Is everything all right with your friend? She asked. Not really, Jason said. He just found out his friend's wife was running after her husband. Oh, she asked. Yeah, Jason said. He saw her kissing and holding hands with some guy today. Jason thought he saw her flinch slightly. Well, she said, maybe he's putting too much into it. I don't know, Jason said. I'm just glad I don't have that problem. Again, he thought she flinched slightly at that remark. It would kill me if you ever did anything like that to me. I would never do that to you, she said, wrapping her arms around him. I love you too much. I'm glad to hear you say that, he told her, kissing her sweet face. So why are you home so early? Our company's annual convention is this weekend, so I decided to start packing and wanted to spend the next night or two with you since we'll be separated for a few days, she said. It's being held in Las Vegas this year. Where to? He asked. At the convention center, she said. We're all staying at the Westgate Resort Hotel. I hear it's a 4-star hotel. When are you leaving? He asked. Friday, right after lunch, she said. It was the day after tomorrow. Did you get another award this year? He asked. She always got awards for being the best salesperson in the region. I guess so, she said. They kissed again. Then, he said to her, why don't I walk you upstairs and congratulate you on another successful year? She smiled and took his hand. I thought you'd never ask, she said. They spent the evening making love, but Jason was preoccupied with other thoughts. Would she cheat on him this weekend? He asked himself. Say, I've got a vacation coming up, he said. Why don't I take a few days and come with you? Maybe we'll spend a week in Vegas, relax a little, and rebuild our relationship. After all, next week will be our 10th anniversary. Sounds like fun, she said. But I'll be so busy with seminars and meetings that it's unlikely we'll be able to see each other. Besides, they expect me to go straight back to work after the convention. Look, why don't we celebrate our anniversary when I get back? I'll make it up to you, I promise. All right, he said. I'll keep you posted. The next day, he contacted Ron and got the name and number of the private investigator. He made an appointment for that day and went to see him before lunch. Good morning, Mr. Chandler, the middle-aged man said as Jason entered his cluttered office. Nice to meet you,